Yo, you know what time it is. It's your boy Trevor David Jones with another edition of Trevor David Zen. And as you can see in the description, we have a book review today. I love reading, I love books. And today is Einstein, His Life and Universe by Walter Isaacson. No book jacket. I always take the book jacket off. Yo, shout out Walter Isaacson. One of my favorite authors. He's the author of several of my favorite books, the biography of Steve Jobs as well, but we'll get to that a little later. This is a great book. It's The Life of Einstein. It was my favorite book, in fact, for many years, only surpassed by Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki and Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Shinryu Suzuki. But before those, it was Einstein, His Life and Universe for a long time. So what's the synopsis? Okay, this is the life story of Albert Einstein. It's his biography, told by Walter Isaacson. And it's told through the lens of his formula as he develops them over the course of his life. So you got Brownian motion in the beginning. Then you've got special relativity and general relativity. Of course, the most famous of Einstein's equations. That's what people are likely reading the book for. It also tells his life through the lens of his family, which a lot of people really don't know about. So his love interest, marriages, his kids, and just like the behind the scenes kind of life of Einstein, very interesting. And also his relationships with the fellow scientists of his time, another great aspect of the book. And then his thought process on many things. For instance, how he developed the theories of relativity, specifically the speed of light, asking somewhat of a simple question, like he, as any scientist knew back at that time, sound moves in relation to air. That's where it gets its speed from. What's like 743 miles per hour? But Einstein asked himself the seemingly simple but extremely complex question of, if sound moves in relation to air, what does light move in relation to? Not everyone's going to think of that. The answer actually is itself, but we'll get to that later. Super crazy, and just dives into the thought process behind Einstein's equations. So that's the synopsis. That's what the book is about. The takeaways. There are numerous takeaways from this book. Number one, Einstein, real interesting dude. And I know that sounds obvious, like why would you even say that? It's Albert Einstein, of course. Nah, because you've got his formula, which are obviously very interesting. People want to know about that. But the actual life of Einstein, like his interactions with his family, the fellow scientists, how he arrived at these various conclusions, very interesting. And Einstein supposedly was identified, or people would identify him now as an INTP in Myers-Briggs typology. So you get to see that play out. The intellectual, obviously Einstein, the cerebral approach to things, but maybe like quote unquote FE, extroverted feeling, family relationships, a little not the same as everyone else would go about them. It's just, aside from the formula, Einstein was a real interesting dude. So this book is definitely worth a read just for that. Okay, the other takeaway, likely what everyone wants to know about, the formulations of special and general relativity. Some of the main parts of the book. And before I even go into that, I'll give you a brief dive of what special and general relativity are, if you're not familiar. So special relativity basically describes the characteristics of space-time, space around you, as you approach the speed of light and get close to the speed of light. Nothing with mass can travel at the speed of light, but if you were to be able to get there, like space bends and you have time dilation. If you leave a location traveling near the speed of light and come back and you had like a clone or a twin, you would be younger than that twin. Stuff like that. Also, special relativity establishes the speed of light as the cosmic speed limit, meaning nothing moves faster than light. And also, no matter what frame of motion you're in, no matter what your speed is, the speed of light is always exactly the same. That's extremely bizarre. That sounds simple, but it's very strange. It's odd, but it's true. As far as we know, it's true. And it forms like space and time as we think about it. So that's special relativity. General relativity covers the behaviors of space-time at all frames of motion, like all speeds. So not just as you're getting close to the speed of light. Everyday speeds like we're doing right now. And this describes gravity, in addition to other things, as a curvature of space-time derived from the matter and energy in space-time at that moment. Crazy. I mean, that's like a basic overview. And space-time, by the way, is just what's around you, like literally space. So there you go. That's basically special and general relativity. And another crazy thing about this book is how general relativity was developed. So after special relativity, Einstein's like first big thing after Brownian motion, which he won a Nobel Prize for, it took him 10 years to develop the theory of general relativity, the equations. That's insane. He developed stomach problems during this time just from like working out the math, doing the equations that he never fully recovered from. Like, that's putting in the work. And I'm gonna tell you something. If you watched any of my previous videos or anything that I've done, you know that I say this often. People back in the day, them old school cats, they were built different, okay? They were just built different. Things were different back then, you know? They didn't have social media. They didn't really have TV. They just got to it. And they got down like, yeah, 10 years working on a formula? People today don't really know about that. That's something they did back in the day. So very interesting, very awesome takeaway from the book. And probably my favorite part of the book is like knowing the work and what actually went into formulating general relativity. Crazy. Another big takeaway. I mentioned it before, but his family. We hear about Einstein, you know, in school, and he's really like this mythological type figure, basically. But he had a family, and Walter Isaacson does a great job of going through his various relationships, and just, you know, and gives you a behind-the-scenes look at stuff that we didn't even know about. Again, first wife and second wife, his kids, just crazy. Einstein the man, so to speak. A great takeaway from the book. And again, also the relationships with the fellow scientists of his time. Great part of Einstein's life that you don't necessarily always think about, but an awesome part of the book. So what's my rating for this book? 5 out of 5 OG Einstein picks, a 5 out of 5. This book's an easy 5 out of 5. Again, it was my favorite book for many years until, you know, a couple other books came around. It's just, even if you don't have any interest in physics or mathematics, if you do, I would consider this a must read. But it's just a great book about human achievement, just really putting in the work and doing something at this like crazy level. And just figuring out these awesome equations that we use today. GPS works because of relativity, by the way, what's predicted by the equations. So yeah, and it's an interesting read. Again, aside from the physics and the mathematics, it's just a great book. It's a page turner the whole way through, the life of Albert Einstein, Niels Bohr, then you get to the Manhattan Project and so on and so forth. Crazy stuff. Walter Isaacson's a great writer. He's the author, again, of several of my favorite books. So, you know, it's just well written in addition to everything else. A 5 out of 5. I would honestly consider it a must read. Einstein, His Life and Universe by Walter Isaacson. And that's it. Another edition of Trevor David Zen. Book reviews. I love books. I love reading. It's where you get knowledge from. Equations, some would say. Yes, pick this one up. Next week, I'm gonna have something different, maybe going more into like working out, maybe meditation. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what happens. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Get this book and read. I'm gonna see y'all in the next one. Peace.